World War II was a global event that reshaped not only politics and borders, but also the daily lives of many people. For minority groups, it was a time of hardship and opportunity. In this video, I'll explore how the war affected three groups: African Americans in the United States, the Roma in Europe, and Indigenous peoples in Canada. We'll look at how social, political, and economic factors shaped their experiences and how the war helped shift their roles in society. First, African Americans in the United States. Before the war, African Americans faced harsh segregation under Jim Crow laws, especially in the South. Jobs were limited and discrimination was widespread. But when the war began, labor shortages created new chances. Over 1 million African Americans moved north and west during the Great Migration to take jobs in defense industries. Wages improved, but racism in housing and employment remained. Over 1 million African Americans served in the military, but most were in segregated units and given dangerous or low-ranking duties. One standout group was the Tuskegee Airmen, black pilots who showed courage and skill in combat, despite being doubted by many. The war inspired the Double V campaign: victory abroad against fascism and victory at home against racism. These efforts laid the groundwork for the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Next, the Roma people in Europe. The Roma, often called gypsies, were among the minorities targeted by the Nazis. Even before the war, they faced deep discrimination, poverty, and were often seen as outsiders in European societies. During the Holocaust, between 220,000 to 500,000 Roma were killed in what is now known as the Porajmos, or Roma genocide. They were rounded up, sent to ghettos or camps, and murdered in mass shootings or gas chambers, much like Jewish victims. After the war, Roma survivors received little recognition or support. Their suffering was ignored for decades, and discrimination continued. Only recently has their experience during the Holocaust begun to receive proper attention in schools and memorials. Finally, Indigenous peoples in Canada. Indigenous peoples in Canada were already facing serious challenges before World War II, including poverty, loss of land, and being forced into residential schools that tried to erase their cultures. Even so, thousands volunteered to fight in the war, showing patriotism despite being treated unfairly at home. Many Indigenous soldiers gained skills, confidence, and a broader worldview through service. When they returned, they began to demand greater rights and recognition. Still, most continued to face poverty, discrimination, and lack of services. Some progress followed. By 1960, Indigenous Canadians gained the right to vote in federal elections without giving up their status. Later, land claims and other legal victories signaled slow but important changes. Conclusion: World War II changed the world, and it changed the lives of those already struggling for equality. For African Americans, Roma, and Indigenous Canadians, the war brought both suffering and strength. They faced discrimination but also used their wartime contributions to push for greater rights and recognition. Their stories remind us that history is shaped not only by leaders in battles, but by people who endured injustice and worked for change. By understanding their struggles and victories, we better understand how the war helped launch movements that still impact our societies today.